live on YouTube. We're about to go live on Facebook. We'll have our proper introduction. Nazim, how are you?
Good, Ahmed. Yourself?
Yeah, not bad, bro. The line is pretty bad. I think it's coming from your end. I was just speaking to someone else, so it's a little bit.
Can you hear me now? Is it better?
Yeah, it's a little bit better. Yeah, it's a little bit better, brother. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, if there's any devices or anything like that around, just
So try to go live on Facebook and see how we go now.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, I'm just waiting for Mustafa to get it all prepared. It takes him about a minute to 2 minutes to kind of do that.
Okay, yeah, sure, of course. Yeah, no worries. So we are live on YouTube now. I think that we're hearing something about mortgage insurance and all that. Were you guys talking to someone about that?
When? What?
Just now, out of the live show.
No. There was nothing about mortgage insurance. No. Previously, I think we've had a bit of a discussion about mortgage insurance very lightly. I was trying to get someone on the show, but it hasn't happened.
Mm-hmm.
He's not answering. So. Okay, sounds good. All right, I'm just going to put you on hold, brother.
Sure.
Okay, sounds good. All right, I'm just going to put... Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Aydin Show. The word Aydin means enlighten. That's exactly our goal. We're here to enlighten you, share knowledge and wisdom, and inspire our youth. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. My name is Ahmed Oruch. Ladies and gents, today we have, on tonight's episode, we have a few Hume City Council candidates for 2020. We will be asking them a list of questions to see if they can suit the community of Hume. Let's get our first candidate on the phone. Brother Nazim, can you hear us?
Ahmed, I can hear you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.
Wa alaikum salam, my brother. Wa alaikum salam, bro. Let's get into it. Look, tell us a little bit about yourself, brother Nazim. You know, what occupation do you do at the moment? What's your job?
First, if I'm the first speaker on tonight, would you allow me to just begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet online today and pay my respects to the elders past and present. Also extend that respect to the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people listening to us today.
Definitely,
so a little bit about myself. My name is Nazim Albardo. I'm 36 years old. I'm married and a father of 5 beautiful children. I arrived in Australia back some 18 years ago as an international student. I still remember the first day I actually came into this country.
Yeah,
I had $200 in my pocket. I still remember that day until now because you never forget your struggle. And then from that point onwards, I started living with my uncle in a suburb, in the western suburbs. It was a suburb of Point Cook.
Okay.
And obviously from there, I started with my studies. I enrolled in a Bachelor of IT at Monash University, and then completed that bachelor degree and then moved on to a Bachelor of Laws and also completed that. So I did 6 years of studies at Monash.
Okay.
What I particularly remember about that phase of my life is the struggle that I had to go through to be able to pay my university tuition fees, which were about $25,000 per year. I remember for the first 6 years, I did not get a chance to take one day off from either study or work. So if I'm not studying, I'm working. If I'm not working, I'm studying. For 6 years straight, I remember I did not take a day off, not a weekend, not a public holiday, not an end of year break, absolutely nothing. So I was working and studying 365 days of the year.
Yeah.
Obviously, then completed my studies and then moved on and started working in a local suburban law firm. And then obviously 2 years later, I made the move to establish my own law firm in Glenroy. We started with 2 people and with time, year after year, obviously I've expanded the firm and now we have 4 branches across the states of Victoria and New South Wales. We employ close to 25 people. It has been quite a journey. Obviously, I came from a non-English speaking background, so you had to struggle with that as well. So you have to pick up the language as you go. And here I am. 18 years later, I am what I am today. I'm running for council this year.
Well, that sounds like a very impressive story, especially for someone that's immigrated here to this country, had no English and barely any money. I mean, what drove you? What drove you to become successful, to become a lawyer, to start your own businesses and to kind of thrive in that field?
What drove me is the need to show that you are able to achieve and that you do not give up at the first fall. So obviously with me, I love going into challenges. I love a challenge. For example,
is that why you've decided to run for council? Is that?
It's one of the reasons. It's one of the reasons. I'll give you an example. So obviously, when you first came here, in the first couple of years, people were mocking your accent or saying, "Oh, look at this guy; he can't even speak English." Yeah. So you just set a target for yourself, and you keep working on yourself. You improve yourself, and you keep going, and that's how life should be. It's just about setting goals and doing all you can to achieve those goals. But then what made me think about applying for council or becoming a councillor or the whole political game is it all really started about 2 years ago. It started with a little story. My parents live in a local suburb in Roxburgh Park. It's a local huge suburb. They live in a very narrow street, and obviously we're always having problems with neighbours in terms of access. A very narrow street. Where do you park your car? Where do I park my car? It has almost reached a physical confrontation between the neighbours on the street. So obviously I get in touch with the council. Guys, we have a problem here. Can you please come and have a look at the problem and see if you can help? Mm. So obviously a councillor comes, we have a discussion, we've got this problem. It's a very narrow street. You can't reverse your car. You can't really park your car anywhere. You've only got the nature strips. And then if you park your car on the nature strip, they'll come and book you. Yeah. So I've started raising this about 2 years ago. And until now, nothing's been done about it. Yes, they came, they had a meeting and said, yeah, we'll see what we can do. We'll probably table it in the next council meeting. But really, nothing has happened 2 years down the track. So that was really what started my curiosity about being involved in council and what councillors do and what council does.
What did you learn with the council meetings? So how do they work? Like, is this something that they would have every month where they'll have a discussion and bring up issues like the ones you've raised?
Council meetings are almost on a weekly basis. So normally they have their meetings on Monday night. I guess between after 7 p.m. at night, and it goes on until about 11 o'clock at night.
Wow.
So yes, and these are the regular meetings they have, and they have normal discussions about things concerning council and residents and so on and so forth. As far as I know, until this stage.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a few things. Look, apart from that, how will you improve people's lives in Hume? Which is the most, sorry, let's get to the very important question. How can you tell us what are the most important policies the community have talked to you about and that you would like to make a change to? So apart from obviously the cars being parked on a narrow thing, has there been other things that have been raised to you?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So, look, since I put my hand up for this job, I've had many calls from many residents from many different backgrounds.
Yeah.
Probably the most apparent issue at this stage is people are struggling financially. And a lot of people were asking me, why are we still paying rates? Why do we still need to pay the full council rate whilst we are going through a pandemic? Why isn't the council slashing their fees? All levels of government has chipped in and said, yes, we need to assist residents. People are struggling.
Yeah.
Why hasn't the local government done anything about that? So, and there's no answer to that. Nothing has been said about it. And there's nothing that really matters that has been done by council to address those concerns. So, obviously, one of the things, this is one of the things that have been raised with me. The lack of public toilets in parks. That's another major issue that's been put to me. Yeah. Hume has close to 350 parks and playgrounds, and many, or the vast majority of them, do not have any public toilets around. So that's another issue that parents and other residents have raised with me. Indented parking. So it's similar to the issue I've just discussed before about narrow streets. Yeah. So the idea of indented parking is, so council has the ability to make those indented, so incurved parking on narrow streets, and should budget for that. I know the council have started this, but in my view, they haven't done enough. So a lot of residents have raised this issue with me. It's a very live issue. Dumped rubbish. That's another major concern. I'll give you an example. This afternoon, I was just driving down Pascoe Road to come to my office. And just on the side of the road, on Pascoe Road, right opposite the town hall, the Hume City Town Hall, there was rubbish everywhere. Litter and rubbish dumped everywhere. And it has been there for weeks, and nothing's been done about it. I have also driven, and I have been driven by other residents around the many of the Meadow Valley suburbs, and there's really litter and rubbish everywhere. So the question is, why can't we have more patrols? Why can't we have more litter collection cycles? And is there a policy for that? These are the questions that have been put to me by many residents.
Okay, very good.
So obviously there are many other issues, but obviously I understand that time wouldn't allow to go through everything and every particular policy that I will advocate for.
That's all right. Well, I guess the main ones, as you've raised, are pretty good. Look, how will you improve people's lives in Hume, which is the most disadvantaged economic areas in Australia, especially after what we've had with the COVID that's come in, impacted even more small businesses here in the northern suburbs, here in Hume. What's some of the things that you believe that you can do to kind of change that, to kind of make that a better sort of environment?
Look, I'm not sure if Hume is the most disadvantaged in the country. It's probably one of the most disadvantaged. But then, on the other hand, look, there are many successful people that have come out of Hume. I'll give you an example, Eddie Maguire or John Ilhart. These were very successful people that came out of the area. Look, perhaps the best way I can help is by listening to people, by going and meeting people and listening to the problems and listening to the struggle and listening to their needs. And then obviously going back and engaging with local governments and state and perhaps federal governments through council to address their needs. So that's probably one of the ways. Probably another way is to try to be a role model for the youth. Look, through my humble job as a lawyer, I know that many of the youngsters around have taken up legal studies because they have looked up to me and considered that what I did was successful and wanted to become more successful. So So if I'm putting my hand up for politics or for council candidacy, I would love to see that people are getting inspired by this, and also just through more amenities through council work, of course.
Yeah. Okay. Also, brother, please enlighten us on what are the needs of the Lebanese and Islamic organisations in Hume.
Look, so Mohammed, it's not just
because
really
let me get this right. But your background is it Lebanese?
Yeah, I'm Lebanese background. Yes.
Yeah.
Look, it's not just about Lebanese and Islamic communities in here. Regardless of anyone's background or nationality, Hume is home to more than 230 residents today who come from almost 156 different backgrounds and countries.
Wow.
And speak over 150 languages. So obviously, the community as a whole, they need better roads, they need better infrastructure, they need cleaner suburbs, they need more services, and this is not only the need of the Lebanese or the Islamic community. This is the need of the community as a whole.
Yeah.
And I'm putting my hand up to this. To liaise and serve and listen to people from all walks of life, not just from a certain background or certain denomination.
Well, are you running as an independent, or are you running as someone that's been endorsed?
Yes, I am running as independent. So, look, I do not have any political affiliation. I'm not a member of any political party.
So no Labor, no Liberal, none of that.
No Labor, no Liberal.
Okay.
I'm really putting my hand up this for the people because I want to be involved with the community. I want to give back to the community that gave to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I guess what are some of the mistakes voters? Let's discuss this. This is very important. I've heard that a lot of the voters previously that have kind of filled up the piece of paper that needs to be filled to vote do the wrong thing, and sometimes their votes don't count. What's some of the mistakes that we could do? Look,
this has been a major problem in previous elections. As far as I know, and from speaking to other people, a lot of voters they would normally submit an incomplete ballot paper. So that would fail to number each box on the ballot paper. A lot of people think that if I like a person, I'll just put a number 1 next to his name, and then that's how my vote will go to this candidate.
Yeah.
And then not worry about the other boxes. If they do that, obviously their vote will be invalid and it would not count. So
let me get this straight, just so we can understand you. You're saying that how many candidates need to be voted for Hume or for per ward?
So in the Meadow Valley ward, there are 20 candidates.
Oh, we've got 3. Just so our viewers understand, we've got 3 different wards for Hume.
Ward.
Yeah.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
So you've got the Meadow Valley ward, which has about 8 suburbs, and then you've got the Aitken ward, and then the Jackson's Creek ward. So in the Meadow Valley ward, they are currently running for council elections, 20 candidates. So voters will see the 20 names on the ballot paper, and next to each name there will be an empty box. And obviously, for their vote to be valid, they have to put a number next to each name. And obviously, the way they put the numbers, they put number 1 next to the most preferred candidate, and then they go number 2 to their second choice and third choice, and they keep going until they complete all the numbers. Obviously, another major problem, repeating a number twice. So putting a number twice whilst you're putting down all the numbers in the boxes. For example, if you put number 10 twice, that also will invalidate the vote.
Okay.
So people need to pay attention to that. One more thing, perhaps forgetting to put their signature or name or the date on the flap that comes with the voting envelope. So obviously after they've finished the ballot paper, they need to put it back in the envelope and then sign it. And not sign the ballot paper, they'll have to sign the flap that comes on the envelope so they can send it back to the at the election office. So making sure. So three main things. Make sure they fill every single box.
Yep.
They don't repeat the number twice, and obviously they put their signature, name, and date before they send it back to the Victorian election office.
Okay. And
Yep.
So how would the 4 candidates in one ward be chosen? Would it be by points? Like, is it like a pointing system? You know how you're saying there's 1 to 10? Is that how it works for the 4 to go in? The ones that obviously have the most amount of points?
It works. So obviously the 4 candidates, the way it works by preferential voting. Mm-hmm. So the candidates that get the most first preference, so they get the most number 1 in the vote. They'll keep making it to the next round and next round. The candidates with the lower number 1, they'll be eliminated. And obviously, when they get eliminated, if their voters have given number 2 to one of the candidates that has the higher vote, the higher preferences or more first preferences, it goes on to them and it adds up. And it's just an elimination process. So that's how it works.
Okay, excellent. Look, is there anything else you want to add before we let you go, Nazim?
No, thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for putting these questions to me, and thank you for making me part of your show. Thank you so much.
Not a problem, Nazim. Look, we wish you all the best, brother.
Thank you, mate.
Take care, mate. Guys, don't go anywhere. We are going to come back. We've got a few guests, a few more candidates that will be running for Hume. So they will be coming on live here on the Aydin Show. We're going to go on a short break. We'll be back in a couple of minutes. And we are back live here in Camberfield on the Aydin Show. Our next guest is Yasemin Yeet. That's a candidate. Assalamu alaikum, Yasemin. Can you hear us?
Walaikum salam. Yes, I sure can. How are you, Ahmed?
Pretty good. Yasemin, I think you're the only one that's not. I think you're the only one that's in the Aiken ward that we've got on this show today. Can you tell us a little bit? Tell us a little bit about the Aiken ward. Like, what areas does that sort of cover?
Well, Aiken ward is currently covering Roxburgh Park, Craigieburn, Micklem, Oakland Junction, Calcolo, and Europe.
Okay, that's all right. That's pretty good. Look, give us a little bit of a short introduction to us and the viewers. Where did you grow up, and which school did you go?
Well, I'm currently I currently live locally, and I've been brought up and grown up in the Zoom ever since I've been born, basically. I went to Glaston Park Secondary College, and currently work at Essential Services. And I come from a Turkish Muslim background.
Okay. Let me ask you.
And I am here.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead. I shouldn't have cut you off.
No, that's right. That's right. Go ahead.
So why did you decide to run run for council of Hume?
Okay, good question. Well, the reason why I've decided to run for the council this year in the Aiken ward is due to a bit of my father, which is Burhan Yeet. He's been in the council for many years throughout my whole life, basically. A lot of you probably already know him, Burhan Yeet. Since the year 1999, I've been basically around him, helping him out with the elections, with the campaigns, and seeing how it all works, and seeing the success that he's done to the community, and all the good stuff he's done. So this is the reason why this year I decided to run and be part of the Hume City Council, is because I want to listen to the community and be their voices.
Yeah.
And do everything in my power to make a better and a safer community out there.
Okay, that sounds pretty good. All right. Look, I guess you got a little bit of experience, especially with your father. That's a well-known figure in Hume.
Yes, correct.
Can you tell us what are some of the most important policies the community have raised with you?
Well, there's a lot of issues that has came across and people have mentioned to me about. But the main thing is basically people talking about like the community not being as clean and tidy, and that there's a lot of rubbish, as Nazim also mentioned earlier, that our streets are full with rubbish, and council is actually doing nothing about it.
Yeah.
And obviously we do want our nature strip and our home to be a cleaner and better environment.
But what would you do to make the change? What do you think you'll do to make that change?
Well, council needs to hire more people and get them to working more harder and getting the place to be more clean, because I believe that they don't have much staff, and that they're not actually looking around and caring as much, unfortunately. And I've actually witnessed one of these back where I used to live in Craigieburn. I've recently just moved out, by the way. Where I used to live, we used to actually basically have like the council property with full with rubbish, people just driving past, just dumping everything there, and also the grass not being looked after and growing up to my knee height. And I thought, why is nothing getting done? I mean, this could, like they talk about, as you guys know, that we suffered bushfires in Victoria not long ago. And these are one of the reasons why I believe fires could be caused with grass growing up so high, grass being very dry, or being plastic thrown on the grass with, the sun hitting it. It can cause fires.
Yeah, we've had a massive bushfire. I mean, one of the biggest in the world. Last year, and none of us are going to really forget, especially living in the Hume. We saw nothing but smoke for weeks on weeks, unfortunately. So, I guess it is very important.
Yeah, and that should be like a one, good experience for us all to be more careful with dumping rubbish. That could be, if people try to listen up with the dumping rubbish around and looking after their grass at the front, whether it's council property or not, because I mean it is for us, it is our really to look after them, because I've had neighbours next to me when I was cutting my grass that they weren't cutting council property, thinking it's just council property. No, it is council property, yes, but it is up to the residents to cut their grass and maintain their grass. So the bushfires is one of a good experience and life for us that we should be focusing and being more careful by providing these things.
Okay. Also, all right, Yasmin, look, just before we let you go, is there anything else you'll like to add?
Well, there's a lot of things that I actually want to add. There's a fair bit, actually. There is a couple of things that I really want to mention at the moment is the things that I want to do for the WHO. And this is based on young generation being more civic in in active life. And I also want to really focus on a project that I'm actually focusing on myself that is very sensitive for me, which will be bullying at school.
Okay.
As I was one of the victims in high school years ago, and I have been bullied myself, and I've suffered this, and I don't want our kids to be suffering this situation at school as well, which the only thing that they should be focused on really is their education and not adulty stuff about getting bullied and, getting scared to go to school. It shouldn't stop their education. And this is one thing that I want to focus on, because I realise that, and we hear all over the news, that kids are actually being very sensitive over it, harming themselves, even sad to say, ending their life. Yeah. And I haven't got kids of my own, but I've suffered it myself, and I've got brother and sister. I've got friends out there that have kids and stuff. I want to stop this bullying, and I want to do everything in my power that I can to focus on this.
Oh, that's a very good message. And look, we wish you all the best. Hopefully, you do well.
Thank you so much, Ahmed. Thanks for your time.
Not a problem. Speak to you later, Yasmin.
No worries. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, guys, that was Yasmin. Look, don't go anywhere. We've got someone that is already in the council. He's going for a re-election. His name's Naim Kurtz. He will be on with us straight after our commercial. Good song, by the way.
Zero Production Beats.
And we are back in Camberfield live on the Aydin Show. What an episode we've got today. We've got all our, some of the some of the council members that have been on our show so far, shedding light in what they're going to do. Guys, for yous that don't know the next one, next candidate that's coming on, name Kurt. He's already a council member. Let's get him on the phone. Naeem, can you hear us?
Yeah, thanks, Ahmed. It's a pleasure to be joining you tonight. The show's gone on to bigger and better things since we last talked. So congratulations to yourself and hello to all the viewers as well.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Naeem. Look, Naeem, you've been a council member for, I think, about 4 years now. Look, what made you decide to, I guess, run again?
I guess for me, it's the fact that the job's not finished at the moment. You know, I've started some things 4 years ago when I first ran for council. I think the two big issues which came to my mind when I was speaking with the community, it was the fact that we had a huge unemployment issue. Yep. And we had a huge issue with safety and crime in the community as well. And for me, I'm the son of a teacher. You know, I've always believed in education, and education being a provider to give people some purpose in life, give them some qualifications so they can get a job, and that can keep them away from some of the social ills that we talk about in terms of unemployment and,
yep.
You know, venturing into crime and things like that.
I guess we're going to go around that. But look, what are some of the accomplishments that you have done in the last 4 years? I mean, let's go through some of them.
Well, for the past 4 years, I think we've done some fantastic things for the community. We've developed new leisure centres. We've redeveloped the Broadmeadows Town Hall. We've built new libraries as well around the community. But for me, it's the little things. You know, when I first started on council, the local soccer club didn't even have hot running water there, and so we've managed to redevelop a whole bunch of the sporting pavilions there. With 6 or 7 of the soccer clubs now have got new lights there, which has been a fantastic thing particularly for the Islamic community as well.
Yeah.
A number of our soccer clubs, they couldn't play during the day, during the Ramadan. And now that they've got lights there, they're able to play at night, able to get the crowds coming in as well, able to have some food at that time. So it's been some fantastic things that we've done there as well. And as I was saying beforehand, it's been focusing on really trying to drive down unemployment. And, you know,
I guess that is all very important. But look, one of the things that were raised early on with Brother Nazim, he mentioned it, and it's also come to light. I think someone's mentioned it on your Facebook. The toilets on the playgrounds. We've got so many playgrounds here in Hume, and there's barely any toilets in any of them. I mean, is this something that you guys will, if you were re-elected, is something that you'll be looking into?
Yeah, we've got a public toilet program where we're rolling them out across a number of different parks, but we've got sort of a prioritisation within council. So if it's a major park, it will have toilets installed there. If it's sort of your little neighbourhood park or your community park, it probably won't be something which the council can necessarily fund, because toilets are, unfortunately, they're a pretty expensive exercise. Just to put a block of toilets in is a $400,000 to $500,000 expense. There's certainly, you know, I've heard this week from some of the community issues in a particular park in Dallas, looking for toilets there. And certainly it's something that I want to prioritise, you know, if I'm successful, and make it a priority over the next 4 years as well.
That's very expensive. To have a toilet built for $400,000 just sounds really absurd. I mean, is it? Why is it that expensive? I mean, coming from a builder, we build houses for less than that. So
Yeah.
to have toilets in a park, I was expecting it to be, you know, around the 20,000-30,000 mark. But you're saying it's hundreds of thousands of dollars to build a toilet.
Yeah, toilets are an issue because you need them nowadays for them to be disability compliant, and for them to be secure, and for them to not be vandalised and to turn into sort of hotspots for, you know, unsavoury activity. You need to sort of invest in the top quality ones. And the self-cleaning toilets, they start at sort of $200,000, $250,000, and they can go up to $400,000. So we don't. It's not like the old days, sort of 20, 30 years ago, where you can just put a concrete toilet in and that's good enough. Nowadays, you need to have certain provisions in there to stop people using them for drugs and for other unsavoury activities. So they can be quite expensive, and, you know, for people to say we should have toilets in every park, it's probably not a possibility, but certainly in the main ones, it's something that we're working towards the council.
Look, Elaine, we are going to ask you a few more questions in the other can. It's only because you're already in there, and obviously we have some things that have been raised, and another one would be the council rate. So as we were looking, we've had a couple of our viewers put in the comments that the council rates are just absurd. That through COVID, it's something that shouldn't have been increased, shouldn't be it should be decreased instead of an increase. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Why has that happened?
So we have, as a council, and I think it might need to be corrected there, but we have put in a $50 rate rebate for every principal place of residence. So pretty much 89% of properties within Hume should be getting a $50 rebate. We've also done almost, I think, $12 million worth of initiatives to support those who've been affected by COVID in our most latest budget. So we've got we funded food parcels for the community. We've done doubled, I think, our community grants. We've done a $1,000 grant for the community to access and buy computers so they can upskill themselves. We've also waived, Food Act registrations and dining area permit fees.
Okay.
And we've also offered rent relief as well for a number of community groups which are using our council facilities, so they won't be paying at any rate for this year and for next year as well. And that includes, our sporting clubs and community groups as well. So it's not as if council is doing nothing in this space, but certainly, I recognise that there's more council can do, and this has been a changing situation over this past year. And,
I guess it's great. I guess
emerge,
it's great that you've enlightened us with all that stuff that you mentioned, because we didn't know that the council's done most of those type of things. Is there an easier way for us to be able to access information from the council? I mean, is it as easy as is there an app, or is there a page, like a Facebook page, that we can go on Hume, and do they have those type of things that they occasionally, or we put them out on their newsfeed when they get the chance?
Yeah, so I'm glad that you brought that up, Ahmet, because when I first came onto council, we as a council, we didn't actually have a Facebook page, and that was a big thing, which I said is we need to get involved in social media. This is the modern 21st century. We need to be out there telling people the great things that we're doing and getting the information to them. So if people want to look to see what council's doing at the moment, they can find the Hume City Council Facebook page. It's got about 15,000 followers on there. We've also got a LinkedIn page where we share this stuff on. We've got an economic development team within council who does a newsletter. We've got council newsletters as well. And every household within Hume should be getting 4 times a year a newsletter as well, which informs them about the things that council is doing at the moment.
Okay.
So we're trying to do our best to publicise ourselves for the community members, but certainly there's always more opportunities to do that. And, if people want to follow my social media, they can follow me on Facebook, and I often share things on there about what council's up to as well. That's another way to find out.
That's pretty good. Okay. So look, we know that COVID's really impacted a lot of us here in the northern suburbs. With unemployment, especially with small business. What are your thoughts? I mean, since this whole COVID thing's happened, with most of the people that have been affected, what do you think that is needed to be done to kind of help these, the numbers of unemployment rise, and also the small businesses that have been really badly impacted, get out of what they're in?
Yeah, so I think there's a couple of points to that. And, in the past couple of months in council, we've raised a number of issues. The big issue at the moment is the fact that I think almost 50% of our community at the moment is on either job seeker or job keeper payments. And that payment is slowly decreasing under the federal government regulations at the moment. So at our last or most recent council meeting, we actually wrote to the federal government and said we want those funds to be extended at the full rate until the start of next year. And that's basically because people in Hume, and I think it's no surprise that, we've seen protests happening in Broadmeadows, we've seen protests happening in Dandenong. That's because in these two communities here, work is more insecure in these two communities. So people have felt the pressures of the lockdowns, which have been happening more than what perhaps people in the inner city have been experiencing. And that's why, our suburbs have actually been under lockdown because of the post-COVID lockdown. Some of our suburbs have been on lockdown probably since the start of June. So because of that, we need the federal government to step in, extend those payments for our council area, and that's what we've written to the federal government on. I think as a council as well, we've got $440 million worth of capital works projects coming up, almost 500 separate projects over the next 4 years. There's a real opportunity within all of that for council to prioritise local jobs, prioritise local people and local businesses, get them the contract for those projects, and we can try and lead an economic rejuvenation and economic recovery through that, as long as we prioritise local first. So that's really the two key areas I think that as a council we need to be acting upon. But I'm also open to hear suggestions as well from the community, and as to what else we can be doing as we move forward.
Can I ask you, are you running as an independent, or are you being endorsed by a party?
So I haven't been endorsed by any party. In the time that I've been on council, I've stood as an independent, and that's allowed me really to be able to be critical and of both the state government and federal government when required. But it's also allowed me to work with them on the issues which are important for us as well. And should I be re-elected again, I'll be standing and sitting as an independent, and have no issue with saying that.
Naeem, I want to ask you something. Look, and this means a lot to me and some of the viewers. Do you agree with some of the harsh lockdowns that Dan's done? I mean, with the Labor Party, I know you're associated with them as a member, I think it is. Do you agree though that he is a little bit harsh on how he's handled the situation here in Victoria compared to the rest of the states in Australia?
Yeah, I think, had you said probably 6 months ago, how do people feel about the current state government and about Dan Andrews? He was probably one of the most popular premiers in the country. But unfortunately, probably in the last couple of months, it's sort of come to light that there have been some issues in the way that we've dealt with the medical pandemic here and the restrictions which have been put in place. I don't envy the position that he's in. He's basically had to follow health and medical advice, and he's had to follow that through. But I think when we sit back and look at everything which has happened over the past couple of months, there'll be a lot of thinking about everything and reconsiderations perhaps of the way we could have done things. Maybe there could have been some different ways that we could have dealt with it, but we're in the situation that we're in now, and hopefully, my fingers are crossed anyway, that we're able to get out of it and as a community to get through to the other side.
Definitely, hopefully, brother. All right, so what are some of the things that you've done for, say, the Islamic communities, as well as, say, general associations, so that general communities as well, so let's not cross them out?
Yeah, well, I guess what I want to say, first of all, is that I think it's really important for us to have a council which the people can look up to and see faces on the council that they can recognise. And I guess myself being the only councillor over the past 4 years with an Islamic name and identifying with the Islamic State, it's meant that a lot of the community issues with that, they've come to me and come through me. And probably the most poignant thing I can recall probably early last year when we had the issue with the horrible terror attacks which happened in Christchurch, and the huge outpouring of grief and emotions which was felt here in Hume. Hume's got the highest Islamic population. I think almost 40,000 Muslims have got living here. It's almost 18% of our total municipal population. And I was really at the forefront there, trying to build the bridges there and to lead the condolences there on that matter. Over the past 4 years, I've in particular in the past 6 months, in fact, we've done the public broadcast of the Ezans. So we had the Broadmeadows Mosque and the Meadow Heights Mosque both came to me, and they said, we can't have people coming into our mosque at the moment. What can we do? Can we broadcast this live? And this is something which council has never approved. It's never been done in Victoria as a public broadcasting of this, but through some tactful negotiations within council, I was able to get them approval.
This is very important what you're saying, but is the Ezan, is that up to the council for it to be played loudly from mosques, or is that something else?
So the council does have in the planning permits that we issue to facilities, there is regulations about the kind of noise that they can make, and in normal times, it's not something which normally has been allowed to be done, but because of what's happened with the sort of medical emergency, we've been able to get some permission to allow that to happen. And I think that's been a fantastic thing for the community. The community has really appreciated.
Definitely.
The feedback has been fantastic as well. So I think it's been great.
Yeah. Okay. Look, recently you've taken about a month off from your duties as a councillor. Is everything okay?
Yeah, I mean, this year for me, has been a pretty difficult one with everything that's happened, and as it has been for many people in our community. And I've been pretty open with what I say. So I had a partner of mine who had who was mentally unwell, and she, hadn't been taking her medication, and because of the relationship breakdown, basically for 4 or 5 months, my family was put under some pretty serious stalking and harassment by this individual, and unfortunately, I had to take some time away from council to start to affect and flow into my personal life. But I'm glad to be back at council now over the past 3 months, and I've been working really hard now over the past 3 months to try and lead the economic recovery in council and make sure that council is doing everything right by the community as well. And, hopefully with the community support tonight, if I get re-elected, it's something I can continue to do over the next 4 years as well.
All right, not a problem, brother. Look, is there anything else you'd like to add before we let you go?
Oh, look, I just want to thank you for having me on the show tonight, Ahmed. Thank everyone who came on tonight. And, I want the community to be aware as well that we need to have more of our community members on council as well. So if people don't want to vote for me, they want to vote for somebody else, that's okay. But make sure you put me number 2. If you want to vote for me, number 1, make sure you put some of the other candidates number 2 as well. And make sure that our votes spread out amongst ourselves so there's enough opportunity for all of us to get elected if we can do. And, thank you once again. I hope everyone has a good night.
Good luck, Naeem. Speak to you later, brother.
Thank you, mate.
Bye. Okay, guys, that's not the end of our show. We've still got 2 other guests coming on. We're going to go on another short break. I'm sure you guys are liking the music that I've chosen for you tonight. We'll be back.
Geçtim dünya üzerinden, ömür bir nefesteyim. Bak vereyim çemberinden, yolun sonudur. Geçtim dünya üzerinden, ömür bir nefesteyim. Bak vereyim çemberinden, yolun sonudur. Geçtim dünya üzerinden, ömür bir nefesteyim. Bak vereyim çemberinden, yolun sonudur. Geçtim dünya üzerinden, ömür bir nefesteyim. Bak vereyim çemberinden, yolun sonudur. Geçtim dünya üzerinden, ömür bir nefesteyim.
Okay, and we are back live on the Aydin Show. Guys, our next guest is Ghazi Shenner. Let's get him on the phone. Assalamu alaikum, Ghazi Abi. How are you?
Alaikum salam, Ahmed. How are you?
Very, very well. Ghazi Abi, tell us a little bit about yourself.
About myself, I will tell you, Ahmed, everything. I have been a residential resident for over 33 years. I'm standing for council as an independent entrepreneur with multiple businesses based in home.
Okay.
As a community spirited person for the last 10 years, I have offered a commercial building owned by me to be used by Homestead Council as a learning centre at Meadow High Shopping. Yes, Ahmed.
Okay, all right. Look, what's some of the changes you will make when you become a council member?
Okay. As a member of this community, I'm concerned about the age. Age care is very important in our community, Ahmed. Age and the youth in our region. We have an aging population in our community, and there are no adequate community programs and social activities to keep our valued age community stimulated and engaged with each other, Ahmed.
Yeah. Okay.
And if I and also one more thing, especially in Dallas, there's one property our people using, but they use just a couple of days a week. If elected, I propose to make Linda Blundell Center more easily accessible to local residents.
What is that place,
I believe
Ghazi? What is that place?
it's called Linda Blunt. It's on Blair Street in Dallas.
Okay, and what is it being used for now?
They're using just, they can't use it at the moment because of coronavirus.
Yeah, but what were they using it for before?
They're using for, the older people. They used to go there, they come gathering, they talking each other, especially Turkish community. They're just using 2 times a week. This is not enough. That's why I want to do more utilized and more available 7 days a week at least.
That's a very look. You've raised up some things that our other candidates haven't.
Yeah, this is not enough.
Okay.
Because I know our community. I have a business in Dallas. A lot of older people, they complaining. They hang around at all shops or in Dallas shopping center or other shops because we have to keep them, in a safe place. That's why I'm thinking if I elected.
Yeah. Well, you've raised a lot of things that are very important to the community,
This
especially the elderly. Yeah, the elderly is something that we haven't discussed.
And young.
And the youth.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, also youth, Ahmed.
Yeah.
Because I'm in this community, more than 33 years.
Ghazi, I've known
them.
you. I've known you since I was a kid, since I was a young.
Yeah, I know. I remember.
Boy.
Yeah.
We were part of the same Turkish community. Look,
exactly.
I guess, yeah. What changes do you want to happen also in Hume for the Turkish community and for others that aren't Turkish?
As I mentioned before, Ahmed.
Yeah.
So I'm talking about myself. So we have a property, just Homestead Council using for just learning center.
Okay.
So we can open up more in the future, like, at especially weekend, maybe 3 days a week, or Friday night, or I don't know, maybe 5 days a week. So we can open up, just stay using for nothing at the moment. So if we elected, so I want to do more. One in Dallas, one in Craigieburn, maybe other side, one in Meadow Heights or Greenway side. We need a lot of things to do, Ahmed.
Yeah. Well, Ghazi, I wish you all the best. I hope you do well, brother. Is there anything else you want to say before I let you go?
Yeah, I would like to say thanks for having me, Ahmed, tonight. And I wish good luck to everybody.
Thank you. We wish you luck as well, brother.
See you soon, inshallah. Okay, Ahmed. Thank you very much.
See you guys. See you, man.
Assalamu alaikum. Bye-bye.
Guys, so one more guest on the show after Ghazi Abi, and this is somebody that a lot of people may know, in whom he's been elected as a mayor twice. So a really big accomplishment that he's had. We're going to go on another short break. I'd have ran out of songs, but I guess we can go to the. God, I'm pretty sure we can go to this one. So straight after this, we'll have him on live here in Camerfield. And we are back live on the Aydin Show, guys. We have got our last candidate on tonight, and that is Adem Atmaja. Adem Abi, how are you?
I'm good, thank you, Ahmed. How are you?
Very good, very good, brother. Look, for the viewers that haven't heard of your name, I'm sure a lot of people that have tuned in tonight have. You've been, involved in the Hume City Council for a very long time. Give our viewers a short intro of who you are, where did you grow up, and let us know a little bit about what school you went to, I guess.
Yep. Well, I grew up in when I was younger days, of course, before I can remember, in Flemington. And then we moved to Upfield, and then from Upfield I moved to Greenvale. Education, I studied in digital communications. So after that I went and worked in IT and all that, and then moved into my own business. And I've always had interest in politics. I had interest in school politics at university.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went into council in 2002, at the end of 2002.
Wow. Okay. Very long time. Look up. What are you currently doing for work? Let us know a little bit about that.
I've got a consultancy company that's growing. So we do a lot of consultancy for investors from overseas and from Australia.
Yep.
Together with just do some small developments myself with the family.
I guess a lot of the candidates on the show have business backgrounds. So the Viva Lokazi owns his own business. Nazim owns his own business. I guess a few of the other brothers that we've also and sisters that we've had on, work in businesses. Tell us a little bit with the way you can juggle it. Being someone that's been in there for such a long time, how did you get around the timing of when the council needed you and when business needed you?
Yeah, most of the council issues are you do them basically over the phone and over the email. During the day, like when you're working, obviously you can't go and meet people, but there's always times after hours and on weekends. Council is a lot of commitment, and to be honest, some of these candidates, it's hard to judge from outside how much commitment there is. For example, some people said that they meet, on every Monday. But besides that, you've got function, you've got community meetings, you've got, a football club or soccer club want to see you about their future prospects and future requirements from council. So this all takes up time. If you're going to be a proper councillor and give to the community, it can take sometimes up to 20 hours a week.
Wow. Okay. That's a lot of time, I guess.
Yeah.
To kind of you'll need to if you want to achieve things for community projects and stuff, I guess.
Yes, of course. And look, I think I've been listening to the other candidates, and good luck to them all. We live in a democracy; everyone can run. But also we have to be honest with ourselves. I mean, who's a Labor member and who isn't, and all that. We need to know all that. And the candidates you've had on today, they're all Labor members except Ghazi and Nizam, so they're the independent candidates. Now,
how about yourself?
I'm a member of the Labor Party. However, I have since 2003 always run an independent candidate because I have a belief that government shouldn't, like parties, political parties, shouldn't be involved in local council. Because whether a road or a community centre needs to be built, it's not a matter of, I'm going to build it for this group or that group or any other political ideology group. It's a matter of the community needs it, so you do it. Now, there has been attempts to have pre-selection in Hume. Now, a lot of community don't know this. So what they tried to do this year was bring a pre-selection system into Hume, which other municipalities do have. So therefore, if the Labor Party picks you as a candidate, which is called an endorsed candidate, then no other Labor Party can run. So you might have 4 or 5 endorsed Labor candidates, and therefore no other Labor could run. I actually opposed this within the party as well, and through the interview process, I said that this is ridiculous. It's it's undemocratic because that means that the Labor Party will select who the candidates are. You can say the Labor Party membership, but at the moment, as you know, in the Labor Party, there's a big clean out going on with all the branch stacking. Up to 4,500 was in the paper today. 4,500 members of the Labor Party have been stripped of their membership, and they're going to go through that clean-up process, which I think is good, because that has I don't care what people say, that is a reflection on the council and the council's ability. Because if the Labor Party is going to say, we're going to put this candidate there, well, that candidate may not be the choice of the community. that candidate may have no experience of any community work or working in the community. So, as a member of the Labor Party, like I said to you, I've had Labor Party politicians, members of Parliament, who ran candidates against me. So how does that work? So if we're all members of the party, so therefore I've never been a belief of, that the political party should have any interest in the local government.
Okay, but I guess that you raise a very good point. However, I guess with what's happening with the whole COVID, as I asked one of the other candidates, what's your thoughts, being a Labor member, of how Dan Andrews has handled this situation here in Melbourne? With crushing small businesses, driving unemployment rates to hundreds of thousands of numbers. What's your thoughts on that?
Okay, look, at the beginning, I think we were doing very well. As you remember, when we had the first wave, we did very well to bring the numbers down. And then basically I'll call it a crisis with the second wave coming through. And obviously it was due to the irresponsible actions of whether it was bureaucrats or the state governments that the second wave happened. And then since then, I think we're all paying a price, which I don't think is necessary to try and get to the zero number as they're going for. Now, we've seen a lot of other countries and states who have still opened up their economies and still controlling the number of infections. And I think that us being one of the most locked down cities in the world has gone on too long, I think, by now. And you've got to look at other systems, why it happened, where it happened, and also when it did happen. I mean, my view was, like, if I was in charge, I would have said, okay, let's put the ones infected into quarantine, so that that infected person doesn't go home and spread it to his family and then to the neighbours and everyone else. So, there are a matter of, I suppose, policy ideas that weren't looked at the time that I think should have been looked at. Okay.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, you're the only candidate in the last 30 years that's become mayor twice. Is that true? One in 2005, 2006, and one in 2014, 2015. But
yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So look, you've also run 5 elections and won 5 times. I mean, that's a huge achievement. Tell us why you're running your 6th time.
Okay, and I'm going to be upfront here. People who know me, I speak openly. Yeah. Look, this year I've seen for the last 4 years that, especially in Meadow Valley Ward, so from Greenvale all the way down to Gladstone Park, then across to Campbellfield, and all the way up to Somerton, we've received nothing. Now, we see people talking, like we had the current council come on, talking about a $440 million capital works program. I don't know where he's getting that figure from, $440 million.
Oh, $440 million for what? Sorry, say that again?
Capital works, right? So, for example, capital works is, you might get a library, you might get a pool, you might get, a sports stadium or whatever. Now, that $440 million, that's a capital works program that runs for, it can be 25 years. So it's not like going to happen in the next 4 years. And also, they said that, we've got libraries and they built swimming pools. They didn't build them in Meadow Valley Ward. They built them in Craigieburn and Sunbury. And that's unfortunate that our money, our rates are going to Craigieburn and to Sunbury.
But what do you think? Majority of our rates. What do you think it's all going there? Is it because it's a new location? Is it because it's trying to attract some people to buy more land and young families into the suburbs? I mean, could it be that?
Well, it's look. Everyone has to get their share. Now, just because it's a new area doesn't mean that. Like, I'm not saying don't build them there, but when I was on council, if we built something somewhere else, I would want something for this area as well. So, if you have a look at some of the buildings and some of the stuff that we did in Meadow Valley Ward, I made sure that we got our share of rates. That's my big argument, that we've got nothing in the last 4 years.
Okay.
So that's why I thought to myself, and look, to be honest, I tried to, speak to some people to run, who I think were appropriate for council and everything. They weren't interested. So it was really out of a bit of desperation that I put my hand up to try and get back the services that we've lost over the 4 years. And, I went through the budget and, this is what I ask people to do. When you're picking a candidate, look over that candidate, listen to them, look what they've done, but also go through the budget, because the budget speaks louder than any candidate. Now, you look at the budget and you have a look at the Meadow Valley Ward, and there is not one major project coming up in the foreseeable future. So, you have to ask yourself, it's good to sit there and say we built libraries and we built, aqua centres and swimming pools, but they're not in your area. So those, I suppose, councils need to be accountable for their 4 years, and putting lights up on a footy ground. That's good, but it's about, $200,000. It's not a massive project. And we started a lights program in 2015 where what the council used to do was get a tender for one light. So one ground, one light. They used to put a tender out. Yep. And the tender was, $200,000. I said, why don't we do 10 in one go? Right? So you put the tender out for 10 grounds with 10 lights over the next 2 years. So therefore everyone gets their lights. This system was brought in 2015. They're not even major projects. They're just small projects, those lights. They only cost $200. And toilets, the Dallas toilets cost us $210,000. So from 2016 to 2020, I can't believe that toilets cost of, come to $500,000. For $500,000.
So you do believe that they are overpriced? Because I'm just trying to add the maths. Like I had Name on before, and we were discussing that about the toilets, and he believes that that's the amount that the council can pay up to. So from $200,000 to $400,000 for a small little toilet, and I don't understand what goes into that, and what builder that they hire for it to cost that much. I mean, is there more to it that maybe us and the viewers don't understand?
Well, to be honest, I don't know. I don't know where that figure came from. I'd like to actually see the tender documents, because, like I said, they've got toilets in Dallas, if you know those new ones. Yeah. And at that time, they cost $200,000. And that was not just the building, but to run the sewerage in that there. So for $500,000 for toilets, they must be made of gold, All
right, look, can you tell us what are the most important 5 policies that need urgent attention? I'm going to ask you a few more. I'm going to ask you a few more questions than all the rest of the candidates, only because you've been mayor twice and you've run 5 times. You've got the most experience. So yeah, be in for a bit of a harsher treatment from me.
That's all right. Look, I think the important issues, and yes, we're one of the lower social economic areas. Education, unemployment. There's some councillors who push for housing and that. Like, I ask myself, they're not council issues. Like, unemployment, council can only lobby the government to put more unemployment programs in place for the community. We cannot, like as a council, we cannot, give people unemployment benefits or anything like that. So for, things like education, we've had always a program, lifelong learning. We brought the universities to our libraries so people can do their courses. But in reality, we don't spend millions and millions on it because it's not a council role. I think councillors need to stick to what councillors do. And councillors, what their main role is to do, the old saying is rates rubbish and parked. And we've got to stick to that. Now, for example, we look at the rates. All right? I just want to touch on this. We pay higher rates in Hume than suburbs like Essendon. So you need to ask yourself, why am I paying higher rates for the same value house? So if you live in Roxburgh Park, and I've seen some of these bills, 2,200, 2,600 rates. In Greenvale, in some areas, 3,500, 3,800 rates. Now, why are we paying that much when someone in Essendon who has a house that's valued more than the house in Roxburgh Park, and they're paying less rates? Now, I pushed for an overhaul of the rate system, but unfortunately I was outvoted by other councillors back then that we need to reassess how we calculate rates. There's certain ways you can calculate it. And in Hume, for example, this year they made $122 million surplus. Now, that's basically making profit. Now, council isn't there to make profit. Council should be spending what they receive from the community.
$120 million profit.
Surplus, that's extra money that meaning they made more money than they spent. So therefore, that $120 million, why didn't they put that into rate reduction? A lot of councils this year, they gave 0 rate increases, and also some of them, they cancelled, how you do your monthly payments? Yeah. They cancelled 2 monthly payments. So therefore, two tri-annual payments, which means that, they got a 6 month no payment of their rates. Now, why didn't they use some of that money in this pandemic to help the people who most need it, the ratepayers? Banks did it, workplaces did it, everyone did it, but council still increased rates, which is just a joke.
I guess what will you do if you get re-elected as a candidate or as mayor? Is it something that you're thinking about doing again for the third time in a row?
Well, I've got my view again is to look at this rate issue, because you have to justify to me again, and like I said, we need to overhaul, because it's called a rate in a dollar. So they look at the dollar value of a property, and then they say, okay, we'll take, for example, 0.2% or whatever from every dollar. They have to look at that again, and they have to match other councils. Now, I think people are sick and tired of rates increasing. So in the last 4 years, they've increased 10%, right? Yeah. So why they increased 10% and you've got a $120 million surplus? I just don't understand that. You could have had a balanced check, a balanced sheet, which means that you collect your rates and you spend your rates, so therefore you don't have any surplus, therefore the rates don't have to rise. And if you've got major big projects that need to be done, well, you lobby government harder and you get more money out of them, because they've got a growth fund which they fund the new suburbs and new areas. But unfortunately, either they're not pushing hard enough or they're not getting the funds that they should be.
Okay. All right. Look, enlighten us a little bit about the needs of, the Turkish organisations, Islamic organisations, and all other organisations here in Hume. What are some of the needs?
Look, there are some communities with special needs. We've got a lot of refugees from, in Hume, from Iraq and Syria and other areas around the world. And they have we use our libraries in that to engage them. They need to be engaged. And even the Turkish community, and, we have like it was mentioned earlier, that the Linda Blundell Resource Centre, that's actually a centre for people who are the elderly of our community to get together and to have a day there with their friends and everything else. And we use all the ethnic communities to come and use those centres with that. So therefore, you can see that those centres are used by all members of the community.
Okay. All right, but I guess going back to say some of the Turkish organisations, because your background is Turkish, you're a Muslim. So what's some of the things that you'll that you've maybe had some notice that needs attention to?
Oh well, I suppose that, like I said, they're the community. What they need is not really that much different than the other communities. Mm-hmm. But as I said earlier, that when you're providing services for elderly, you do it in a manner that is according to their culture and according to their food requirements, etc. So.
Okay, all right. Look, do you know how many roughly Turkish people live in say Hume, or Muslims live in Hume? Do you know the numbers?
Yeah, there's about I have got those numbers. Do you mean the Turkish community? The Turkish community in Hume is around 13,000. They're Turkish speaking. Turkish born is pretty low. That's the born rate is around only 7,000. So that's people who were born overseas. So that's where the figures are. Okay, all right. And Muslims is about 32,000 out of 280,000 people, and 32,000 are of the Islamic State. Catholics are about 70,000.
Okay, so about 12-13%. Okay, wow. All right, something new that I've just learned today. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Look, I guess since you've had some time off, what community organisations or activities have you been involved in? What have you been doing since you've had some time off with the community?
Well, I just really grown my business, spending more time travelling a bit, So I still haven't let the community go on. I still, support a lot of community organisations, sporting groups and that. They all know me, and, I help them out when I can. If they need new facilities, I show them how to put grants together to the federal and state governments, and to council. So I'm still active out there supporting the community. I don't think I can ever walk away from the community. And they always complain to me that they're not getting what they want from council or from the councillors. So, that's why I suppose it made me run again. So.
I'm going to ask you one more question, Adam Atmaja. we've just looking at some comments. The question keeps arising. What do you think about the omnibus bill?
The omnibus bill, I haven't really read it too long, but it does seem that it's going through pretty fast. I think it needs more consultation if they're going to, take it out there and everything. So my view is that the omnibus bill needs to be, looked at a lot more. And I suppose we look at what do people understand with the omnibus bill. A lot of people don't even understand what it is. So it shouldn't be pushed through. And I think it should be more consultation with the community to explain what it is. And then, let people talk to their local members of parliament about it to give them their view. And then the politicians should go back and think.
Because I don't even know what it's about, to be honest. I mean, look, I've got a few viewers that have left that in the comment. I mean, what is it? Can you give us a quick little rundown before we let you go?
Well, I don't even know what I think it's about. Giving power to bureaucrats. More power to the bureaucrats and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I haven't really read into it, but I suppose it gives more. But at the moment, with this COVID issue at the moment, we have a look at the federal agencies and the state government. Everyone's eyeing for more power. ASIO's eyeing for more power. The omnibus bill, I think, is a bit more eyeing for power. So I think we need to really sit back and have more consultation and have more transparency with this.
Okay. All right. Also, brother, if there's anything else you want to say before we let you go?
Well, like I said earlier, I've sort of told you what the main issues are. People, they want better parks and better playgrounds for their kids. That sort of hasn't been happening over the last few years. And also, especially the rates, the rates and the money that's spent in Craigieburn and Sunbury compared to Hume is just a joke. They're spending 60 million, 40 million, and Hume has got zero in the next, foreseeable future. So hopefully we can change that and get everyone share in the resources. It's not a matter of why should people in Meadow Valley Ward pay their rates and then it's spent in other areas that, no one's going to go to Sunbury to use their library, and from Broadmeadows, hardly anyone's going to go down to Craigieburn to use their pool. So we need to look after our residents in Meadow Valley Ward.
Some very good points. Aydin Majid, thank you so much, and I wish you all the best, brother.
No worries, Joel. Thank you. And good program, by the way.
Thank you
all
very
the
much.
best.
See you, mate.
Bye.
All right, guys. I guess we wish all our Hume Council members that are running, candidates, that are running, good luck, and hopefully they do very well. Look, to all our viewers, thanks for tuning in to tonight's show, by the way. If you would like to watch any future episodes, press the like button on Facebook or subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Aydin Show. See you all guys live next week.
Thank you.